Hey, welcome to the channel. If you think about it, the metaverse's goal is to recreate reality and become the next generation of the internet. But how does that really work? How do you recreate reality? And why would you want to recreate reality to begin with? I mean, if you want a limitless world, which is what the metaverse is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be like this limitless world where you can do whatever you want, you can like learn whatever you want, you can be whoever you want. And that all sounds fine and dandy, but it really reminds me of like Ready Player One, The Matrix, something that it reminds other people of. I think it's called Snow Crash or Snow Patrol, I forget. But I mean, you're recreating the world, or you're trying to create a limitless world. I mean, which one are you trying to do? You could recreate the world and make it limitless, but it's still based off the original world that you came from, right? And that doesn't really make any sense because, like, you could, in theory, just recreate the universe and you have your own little mini universe in the palm of your hand, right? I mean, that's what the metaverse could be. And, it would be great, let's say hypothetically, we gathered enough data from the cosmos where we could recreate the universe in the metaverse and explore the universe to its fullest extent within that metaverse, that universe, right? That would be an amazing feat if we could do that. Now, how would you gather the information from, the 13.8 billion years of light that we can see? I don't know, right? But that's one application that I could see it being used for. That'd be useful for science. Another useful application I could see it being used for, other than gaming, because it's all anyone's talking about. It's like, ooh, you can game with it. I mean, it's clunky. You can meet in virtual reality. I mean, it's a cool thought. I've never tried it personally, so I shouldn't really be bashing on it too much. Especially because I work in consulting. I mean, that's one of the things that we're trying to implement is how do you meet virtually? How do you overcome these obstacles of, okay, well, people want to stay at home, right? People don't want to go to the office anymore because they're afraid they're going to get COVID, or because they're saving money. They don't have to pay for gas anymore. They don't have to stay at hotels. You don't have to go to client sites anymore. And so how do you meet up with people? Some people aren't going to be able to use this virtual reality. Some people are going to have health implications, complications that won't allow them to dive into the metaverse. Some people maybe longer might not be able to sustain long periods of time in the metaverse either. But where I was going with that was, okay, so practical application, having a limitless world, having limitless resources, having limitless design opportunities to design in a 3D space. Imagine you're designing a car, right? Now, what do they do with cars currently? Well, they have giant clay blocks and they carve into them. And you may be thinking, why do they use clay blocks? We have 3D software. The reason why is because there's no reference point in 3D software. Like, how are you going to be able to tell the stroke that you're making on the car is that stroke in real life? Like, you can't compare a 3D empty space with real life 3D space. And so if you have the metaverse, you can replicate that process in the metaverse without using resources, right? There's things like that you could do. You could build models. You could build, I mean, really anything you want. It's like, instead of designing things in space, because space manufacturing is going to be a thing, right? Instead of going into space to do it, you could just do it in the metaverse and load up an algorithm, and all of a sudden you're in space in the metaverse. You have the same properties, and you can just, if the metaverse is infinite, you could have a space in the metaverse, like a bubble, right? That has these certain physical properties or physics that apply only in that bubble, right? That's one thing. The problem is that how do you make it equitable? How do you make it available to everyone. Okay. Do you need the internet to connect to the metaverse, right? If the metaverse is trying to replace the internet, how does that work? I mean, you would have to know what the internet is. Okay. Is it like going to replace Google, like that kind of internet, or is it going to replace the whole entire system that we're connected to by? You know, if you're talking about the Ethernet system, with all the wires that connect to all the different hubs around the world, all these different nodes, I mean, that's not really what it is, right? I mean, you've got Starlink. Starlink is trying to provide the internet to a bunch of people all over the world that don't have access to internet, that the infrastructure is not there. It's less expensive to send those low orbit satellites into space than it is to just build out all the wires, especially in countries that have, political turmoil, or that are run by basically mafias, or gangs and things like that, run by militaries, not by democratic governments. And so you have the metaverse, it's being built, but the technology is really only available to upper class people and corporations. Because imagine having to buy all that equipment. Imagine having to wear all that equipment all the time. Some people can't wear that. Some people can't just wear a giant headset that hovers literally over your eyeballs. Like, some people can't do that, So, equitability is a real issue. Recreating the current world in a limitless format is an issue, because, like, if the only world you have to go off of is your own, I mean, how are you going to create a world of endless possibilities if this is the only world you have? I mean, what is a world? Is it just a flat plane like Minecraft? Is there only up and down, left, right? Only to a certain point? Is it continually expanding? Are there rules to, the expansion? I mean, it still has to be governed by rules. And who's going to control those rules, right? People who want money and power. But how do you have money in the metaverse? How do you buy things in the metaverse? All these concepts of life that we lived with since civilization, how do they apply in the metaverse? If I have a limitless world of limitless possibilities, then why would I want to contain myself with money? Because money's sole purpose is to prevent the overconsumption of raw materials and to control what people can have, to control innovation. It is used to control productivity, workload, capacity. You can only do 3 things with money. You can save it, you can make it, like earn it. You can invest it. 3 things: give, spend, invest. The 3 things you can do. Obviously, you can make money, but you give it, you save it, you invest it. Okay? So, I mean, you're in a limitless world. You have money. You want to buy an NFT. Okay, why would I want to buy an NFT in the metaverse? Why? Why would I want to do that? What economy is in the metaverse? This is my point that I'm trying to get at, because all these people are estimating the value of the metaverse in the coming years. How do you invest in the metaverse? Right? You're still relying on the old capitalistic system that put it in place. The metaverse cannot survive without current capital, without current investments, without the current system supporting it. I buy an NFT, someone screenshots it, and it's in the metaverse. So I don't know what you do to screenshot in the metaverse, but I bet you could just do this with your hands and it'll take a screenshot. You could have weird settings where hand gestures actually mean things instead of using buttons and mouse controls and keyboard, keyboard stuff. I don't know, settings. The point is that take a screenshot. Well, now, they don't have the NFT, but they have a screenshot of the NFT, and it's the same thing. It just proves who created the NFT, when it was created, and who owns it. And it makes more sense in the real world to have an NFT. It makes more sense because, how do we really know who painted the Mona Lisa besides the signature? Come on. Imagine if they had NFTs back then. You could have it so that you knew when, who, and where the Mona Lisa was painted. Who painted it, where was it painted, and when. You have a timestamp. It's for its recording history. It's a blockchain purpose. It's for recording events that happen. You could have an NFT for anything. And that's what's important, is that we're starting to, as a human race, we're starting to understand the importance of when things happen in time. Okay? Not just material things. What is out there? What is happening out there? It's more when did it happen and when will it happen? How long will it take to happen? As we start to understand how time works as a dimensional property, we will start to become technologically more advanced, I believe. And so the metaverse is allowing us this immortality that we've never experienced before. That is the search of a lifetime for billionaires right now, is how do I get myself to live forever? People want to live forever. And how do they do that? So they create a whole new universe where they cement themselves. Okay, but why would you want to live forever? What's the point of living forever if you're in a limitless world with a place where money doesn't really matter? You have limitless resources, money doesn't matter. You can create whatever resources you want. You could make element 115 and just make a crap load of it, and it's stable. But how, the thing is that how do you have a limitless world, limitless possibilities if you're confined to the current world? Nobody knows how to stabilize these upper echelon elements beyond, I think it's element 111. If you don't have that information in the real world, how are you going to put that information in the metaverse? Right? So, money, metaverse, finite limitless possibilities. It sounds like a scam. It doesn't sound like something that's going to be available to everyone. It doesn't sound like it's going to be the next new craze, right? It's not the new Facebook because old people aren't going to use it, and the average Facebook user's age is 35 or something. I don't know. It's a very interesting concept. Why you would want to own things in a limitless world. Why doesn't everyone just get their own castle? Sounds like heaven, right? Sounds like we're playing God, right? But you sit in a limitless world, and wouldn't you get, it's limitless, but wouldn't you get bored? Right? Is it going to be you upload your mind into the Ethernet, into the ether, and you become one with the machine, like in that Black Mirror episode? I don't know. I do not know. I think that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks for listening.